Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Mr. Moser's Meandering Monday. This one's going to be a little different in the fact that I didn't meander too far. I stayed here in Clover, and I'm actually on a walking trail in Clover itself. It's between the Clover Community Park, which we'll see in a little bit, and News Center Park, which we'll also see in a little bit. So it's a walking trail that goes between the two parks, through the grounds, through some woods. There's not really a accurate measurement of how long it is because there's so many different ways you could go. At one time, it used to be the Clover High School's cross-country trail for a couple of years, and that's now been moved over to Clover High School. But it's a trail that is used by many people. You can always see people with their dogs or people running, sometimes people with bikes, and we're gonna take a little tour of it and maybe you'll even learn a little something. From the Clover School District office, New Center Park is less than 1 mile away. Clover's New Center Park is located here. The trails I'm talking about today are north and around New Center Park. And if this area looks familiar, it's because the Clover High School Sports Stadium is nearby. Here's an example of the many different ways you could go on this trail. Stopping at this one point, I have 3 different directions that I could choose from. While hiking, be on the lookout for wildlife. I stumbled upon this woodpecker looking for food. I asked a friend of mine who's really into birds what kind of woodpecker it is, and it's called a downy woodpecker. As I mentioned before, the Clover Walking Trail has many various trails and loops that you can go on. Some are in the wide open like this, and then others actually go through the woods. Might see a little more nature as you go through the woods. This one goes right by the community pond that's there. I'll try to show that a little bit later. It's a nice sized pond. You're not allowed to swim in it, but you can come here and fish. You'll see people fishing or just letting their dogs play in the water. And if anything, it's some great scenery. And so as I mentioned, this little trail here goes through the woods. You might run across a deer now and then. I've never seen anything scarier than that, so deer is probably all you're gonna run into. Possibly a snake once in a while when it's a little warmer, but just enjoy. Now these trails, as I mentioned earlier, connect Clover Community Park and News Center Park. And coming out here, this is News Center Park, and you'll see here we have a little amphitheater where local bands will play once in a while. They might have some food trucks. Everybody can sit out here in the grass and listen to the band. And you'll see in the distance there is a playground you can go to and have fun while the music's playing. There's large grass areas where you can play and gather, have all sorts of fun. And this area right here, I don't know if you can see it, but that's the Clover High School football stadium. And so they use this area on Friday nights for overflow parking. You also see right now this big collection of trees and branches and bushes. That's from the remnants of Hurricane Helena. That's all the trees and stuff that fell during the storm, and this town has been collecting it and is putting it here temporarily as a holding space until they can get rid of it later. Here's a closer view of that brush pile that the town of Clover is collecting from all the broken branches and fallen trees from that hurricane, and I just wanted to show you this. This is the roots of one tree that has fallen. This is usually what's under the ground. This is one tree that fell, and just to show you how big this thing is, I'm going to switch the camera so you can see it. So I'm standing up here, and you can see this root of this tree laying on its side is as tall as I am. This thing is massive. Just like this brush pile is massive. Just walking around the edge of it, you can see here's a whole collection of trees that have been cut up into smaller pieces. And this thing just keeps going and going. New Center Park is also home to Clover's only splash pad. With the hit of this button right here, it starts up the splash pad with water shooting out of the ground in all sorts of directions. In the summer months, this place is bustling with all sorts of kids having fun in the water. Unfortunately, it's closed in the fall and winter and will open back up in the spring. So if you've missed coming to this place before, just wait till next spring and you will have a blast. You never know what you'll stumble across at the park. I saw some people trying out their off-road race cars. Take a look. New Center Park is also home to some regulation lit soccer fields. So if you're part of Clover Elite Soccer Club or Charlotte Independence or a rec league soccer team, you might have some games over here. There's 2 large fields up top that can be broken down into smaller fields, and down below past this hill right here are 2 more fields. One is lit, one is not, but any Saturday morning or weeknights, you'll see all sorts of soccer players out here. You can see here the soccer fields at New Center Park do connect to the walking trails. Here we go up another one, back into the woods. And this one will lead us back to that pond that is situated between the 2 parks. And that pond is called Murphy's Pond. I'm not sure how it got its name. What's great about this park is you can get away from all civilization and be out in nature very quickly. Let's take a listen. Let's see if you see anything. At some point while hiking the trails, you're going to come across the big pond called Murphy's Pond. This area here of rock was completely underwater about a month ago when Hurricane Helene came through. And normally this is what the pond will look like. If you look closely in the water, see if I can zoom in, you can see tadpoles. Let me see if I can find them. There's some. Let your teacher know if you know what tadpoles turn into when they grow up. lot of times here at the pond, you'll see people fishing or just walking along the bank. You can see some people there in the distance, maybe. There they are. Just walking along the edge of the pond. There's a bench at the far end that you can sit at and just view nature. There are fish in the pond, so you can come here and fish anytime you want, or check out the wildlife in the water, tadpoles and such. I hope you enjoyed today's Meandering Monday. In a couple weeks, we'll come back and see the other park that this is connected to, which is Clover Community Park. Next week will be a video about Hurricane Helene and the damage that it caused. But once again, hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you're in the area of actual Clover itself and you just want to get out to nature, come check it out. Have a great day.